Hello trainers, Professor Palm here, and I hope that all of you trainers enjoyed Summer Splash. Well, the month of June is over and today is the first day of July. My goodness, the time really does move fast. Unfortunately, the heat is still with us. Ooh, it is really hot and it's only the second month of summer. This is going to be one of the hottest summers out there, but I think that all of us can still find great ways to beat the heat. Or maybe we can just call Kyogre to come and bring some rain so it can really cool down. Out of all the regions we talked about, I omitted one unfortunate region, and that of course is Unova. I really think that the Unova region has some great water-type Pokemon. I feel so upset that I didn't talk about a single one of them. Well, that's gonna change because a few people gave me some great ideas of what to talk about today, as well as some important Pokemon that came from there. I may have been born in the Johto region, but I will say Unova is one of my all-time favorite regions, and I know that's the exact region Professor Sassafras was born. When I talked with Professor Sassafras, she told me about a great story she had of her first journey, and surprisingly, both of us started off with the exact same starter Pokemon, and that of course was the three warriors of the water themselves, Oshawott, Dewott, and of course, the big water samurai of the seven seas, Samurott. These are some of the greatest water-type Pokemon you will ever meet in the Unova region. But looking back at my Unova journey all these years later, I'm happy to say Oshawott was my first Unovian friend. It was my starter that day, and we went on an incredible adventure. As it went on, it became a Dewott and of course, a Samurott. But Oshawott really struck a chord with me in the Unova region because I chose it again when I played Black and White 2. Going on 2 adventures in the exact same region with the same starter was incredible. It just blows my mind that over 10 years ago, we went to the Unova region. And when Generation 10 comes out, there's a very high chance we'll be getting Unova remakes. I cannot wait to see that happen. Or I just hope that happens. When looking back, did you go like Professor Sassafras and I with the Oshawott line? Or did you prefer the Snivy line or the Tepig line? There is no wrong choice. I will say this though, I do think that the Oshawott line was very popular, mainly for the fact that they came back to be starters again in Pokemon Legends Arceus. I mean, how many other starters other than Rowlet as well as Cyndaquill can you say have been starters for 2 core series regions? In the Unova region and the Hisui region, I don't think that we could have gotten any better warriors than with these Pokemon. They can teach us a lot of ways to protect ourselves, how to use swords, and of course, to fight. If you ask me, I think that a lot of us need to learn the way of the warrior. So, class is in session, let's begin. But before we do that, I want to give a very special thanks to my friend Oshawott Car for the request of this video. You love the Oshawott line? Well, I hope that you enjoy this video to the fullest. I also want to take some time and say a very special thank you to my friend Michael Goldberg. Unfortunately, he passed away very recently, but I want to give this video a good dedication to him. He was the one that convinced me to keep going and to never give up. Thanks to him, I still have all the motivation to do as much as I can, and I still want to keep my drive going. But those aren't the only people that I'm going to be thanking today. Technova, I want to give you a very special thanks and a shout out for my shirt. This shirt is called the Water Samurai Within. Since we're talking about Samurott, Dewott, and Oshawott, I couldn't think of a better shirt to wear than this one. If you like the shirts I wear with these designs and you want to buy them, you can get them on Etsy. I have a link to Technova's Etsy page in the description below. If you think that I look good in these shirts, I think that you'll look even better. So please go on Etsy, support Technova, and maybe buy a shirt from her. I may not be sponsored, but of course I want to give her a big thanks for everything she's done. And if you do buy a shirt, remember to say Professor Palm sent ya. Our training begins, young warriors. So, we may start off as rookies, but by the end, we're going to learn how to become incredible warriors and samurais. There is a great teacher that can start us off for beginners. I'm of course talking about the little swordsman itself and sea otter, Oshawott. Oshawott the sea otter Pokemon is based on a sea otter pup. For its habitat, being a water-type Pokemon, Oshawott are often found near rivers and quiet waters. They prefer peaceful places and they like to live lives in solitude. Oshawott are also exceptional swimmers, and they spend a lot of the time in the water and under the water. This way, they're ready for anything. Some Oshawott also train underwater. That way, they can be ready for battle whether on land or in the water. One of the most standout features on Oshawott is the seashell on its belly. This is called the Scalchop, and the Scalchop means everything to Oshawott. Did you know that the name Scalchop was first coined by Professor Laverton back in the Hisui region? If you play Pokemon Legends Arceus and look at Oshawott's Hisuian entry, you'll see that is how it got its name. Professor Laverton came up with the idea, lots of people liked it, and because of it, it stuck permanently. To this day, we still have him to thank for that incredible name. Oshawott's Scalchop can be removed from its belly anytime it wants, and it's used for many things. The most obvious use for Oshawott's Scalchop is for battle. However, Oshawott's Scalchop doesn't just serve as a weapon, it can also serve as a shield too. When Oshawott fights with its Scalchop, it acts as a blade. This is done because of Oshawott's power with the shell, which becomes a water blade. Because of this ability, this has given Oshawott the signature move, Razor Shell. Sometimes Oshawott's Scalchop is used as a shield, so it can defend itself from attacks, and also it can block attacks with its very strong Scalchop. As great as the Scalchop is for battle, the Scalchop can also be used to help Oshawott when it's hungry. They're very intelligent Pokemon, and since they like eating berries and nuts that have very hard shells, the Scalchop acts as a sword to break them open so Oshawott can enjoy a nice meal. After all, gotta eat to live. Did you know that every Oshawott has a different design Scalchop? These Scalchops take a lot. Sometimes Oshawott lose them, and unfortunately, sometimes their Scalchops break. If your Oshawott loses its Scalchop or it breaks, you don't have to worry. In just a few days, Oshawott can grow a brand new Scalchop on its stomach. The reason why is the Scalchop is made of the same materials as Oshawott's claws. Pretty cool, huh? Oshawott made its anime debut in the Black and White series episode, The Shadow of Zekrom, where Professor Juniper offered it to Trip along with Snivy and Tepig. He denied and decided to go with Snivy, which Oshawott did not take too well. It followed Ash and Iris until Ash captured it in the episode A Sandile Gusher of Charge, where he happily welcomed it to his team. For the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon mini-series for Gates to Infinity, Oshawott serves as the protagonist along with Pikachu. In the core series games, Oshawott is the ace of your rival Bianca, but only if you start off with Snivy. If you start off with Tepig, Oshawott will be the ace of your rival Charon in Black and White. In Black 2 and White 2, Oshawott will be the ace of your rival Hugh if you start off with Tepig. Currently, Oshawott has the lowest base stats of all water-type starters, and before Quaxley was introduced in Generation 9, Oshawott was the shortest water-type starter at only 1'8". In the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series, starting with the game Gates to Infinity, Oshawott is a selectable character you can either play as or have as your partner. It's impressive that Oshawott is choosing the route of the Samurai. It already is a very powerful Pokemon, as it knows how to defend itself with its Scalchop, and it can take care of so many things. But as it gets stronger, it becomes an even more skilled swordsman. So, let's evolve our little Oshawott into Dewott. Wow, just looking at this thing, I already tell we're dealing with a warrior of the water. Dewott the Disciplined Pokemon is based on a sea otter. However, its appearance and fighting style draws inspiration from samurais. For its habitat, Dewott prefers to live near rivers and around waterfalls. Dewott loves the sound of rushing water, as it puts them at ease, and it also helps them with training, as it keeps them in the zone. If you happen to find a Dewott in the wild, there's a high chance you'll find it training, as Dewott are always ready for battle, and they like to prepare themselves in case anything happens. Dewott train on both the land and under the water. With its skills like a samurai, Dewott never back down from a fight, even when disadvantaged. A Dewott will always fight to protect its territory, and of course, its honor. If Dewott was to lose a battle, instead of being a sore loser, it shows both good sportsmanship and honor. Dewott will stand bow and thank its opponent for a great battle before leaving peacefully. Well, that's nice and all, but sometimes Dewott can really take a defeat to heart, and that also motivates them to be even better the next time they battle. Thanks to evolution, Dewott wield not one, but 2 Scout Chops. Dewott can easily detach and reattach the 2 Scout Chops to its thighs and fight with them. With strict and constant training, Dewott learns many double Scout Chop techniques that it uses for battle. Just like with samurais, every Dewott has a different fighting style, and every Dewott has a different Scout Chop technique. So, whenever they go into a fight, they can always walk in unpredictable and really stoke out their opponent. While they all have their own different battle styles, some Dewott are happy to teach other Dewott their own battle style, and vice versa. In fact, sometimes Dewott team up together for a battle and use the new battle styles that they've been taught from one another. Sometimes they also coordinate, so they pull off a flawless victory. In the old days of the Hisui region, Samurott were seen as some of the most skilled swordsmen alive. In fact, some Samurott even taught plenty of soldiers how to fight in battle. Other than using its dual Scout Chops as weapons of battle, Dewott can also use its Scout Chops as shields, since it's gotten stronger, as do their Scout Chops. And not only do they block attacks with both their Scout Chops, but they can increase their power levels that their water swords become shields of water. Because of how much Dewott fights, it never neglects in maintaining both of its Scout Chops. It always makes sure that they look their very best and they're nice and shiny. It hates having a dirty Scout Chop. On a very interesting note, every Dewott Scout Chops are different. When not in combat, Dewott never forget to relax and have fun. Some of them like to go for swims in the river. Some of them also like to climb up the waterfalls as they enjoy the thrill of it. They also like to take breaks, and some of them even like to find other shells and other things. Oh, and Dewott oftentimes like to go get themselves berries. They prefer the ones with the hard shells, in order for them to use their Scout Chops to break them open. Dewott made its anime debut in the Pokemon Black and White series episode, A Connoisseur's Revenge, where it was under the ownership of Cylan's rival, Burgundy. It was revealed that Burgundy's Oshawott she had challenged Cylan with had evolved into Dewott. She battled Cylan in revenge with her Dewott, only for it to be defeated by his Dwebble. In the core series games, Dewott is the ace of your rival Bianca if you choose Snivy at the start of your journey. Dewott can also be the ace of your rival Charon if you choose Tepig at the start of your journey in Black and White. In Black and White 2, Dewott is the ace of your rival Hugh's team if you start off with Tepig. Because of its dual Scout Chops and how much Dewott fights, it has the signature move, Razor Shell, which, if hit, may lower your opponent's defense. In Pokepark 2, Wonders Beyond, Dewott appears at Cove Town as one of the trainers. After Oshawott defeats Dewott in battle, Dewott happily agrees to become Oshawott's teacher. Dewott sure is an incredible water warrior. It may not wear any armor, but I can truly see it's taken the path of the samurai. It's a skilled swordsman, and it has many skills with both of its Scout Chops. However, I think it's time we complete the samurai's journey. So, let's evolve our Dewott into Samurott. Wow, just looking at this Pokemon, we're definitely dealing with a samurai of the 7 seas. Samurott, the formidable Pokemon, is based on a sea lion, making it the only member of the family not to be based on a sea otter. But Samurott also draws inspiration from samurais, not just because of its fighting style, but also because of its shell armor. For its habitat, Samurott really love to live where there's a lot of water. Big bodies of water is where they prefer. So, you could oftentimes find Samurott living in big lakes, or living nearby the coastlines. For the coastlines, they like to make their homes in caves. Also, Samurott are territorial, so if another Pokemon challenges it for the territory, Samurott will gladly accept the challenge, as it never backs down from one. Unlike with its previous evolutions in Dewott and Oshawott, Samurott is the odd one out as it does not wield Scout Chops, but instead it wields something much more powerful. Thanks to evolution, Samurott's Scout Chops have also evolved with it. They've now transformed into swords, otherwise known as scimitars. Samurott keeps these scimitars hidden on the braces found on its front forelimbs. Samurott are so skilled and so fast with their swords that in the time it takes their opponent to blink, a Samurott can draw and unsheath its blade just to go in for a direct attack. And in the time it takes the opponent to blink, it can also sheath its blade. Even though they wear heavy armor, they are surprisingly limber. Samurott are incredible swimmers. In fact, in the Unova region, it's said that Samurott is the fastest and greatest swimmer there. So, they can fight on both the land and under the water. And something that you should also know about Samurott is, even though we've always seen it standing on 4 legs, it can stand on 2 legs with no problem, which really helps it when it battles with both of its scimitars. Samurott's scimitars and armor are made of the same material, making them both very strong and incredibly sharp. Samurott's scimitars are so sharp, they can slice through diamonds. Also, if you are to rub the armor, be very careful, because there are parts that are very sharp of the armor, so you might get yourself a pretty nasty cut if you rub it the wrong way. Other than its strong armor and its scimitars, Samurott has one more weapon, and that is its powerful voice. Thanks to its vocal cords, Samurott's cry alone is enough to intimidate most of its enemies. And if that wasn't enough, when Samurott wins, it lets out a very powerful battle cry of victory. If its voice and sword skills weren't enough, just a single glare from a Samurott to its enemies can quiet down an entire battle. My goodness! Who would have guessed that Samurott also has a battle glare? In a fight, the scimitars on Samurott also act as shields when needed. Just like with the rest of its line, Samurott can use their water power on their scimitars and turn them into shields of water. Even without having their scimitars act as shields of water, their armor is very strong. In fact, any attack that usually hits the armor will not affect a Samurott. They just pass on by like it's nothing hurt them whatsoever. With their incredible armor and sword skills, a lot of samurai taught plenty of humans how to become warriors. It's even said that because of how great the armor was, people tried to copy and make their own armors just to be like Samurott. And without the sword skills that Samurott taught them, there would be no such thing as samurai. If you look carefully at Samurott's face, you'll notice that it has a lot of facial hair. It has some on the bottom and some on both cheeks, very similar to a mustache. Well, with these mustaches, every Samurott grooms them to be different. The longer the mustache and facial hair on a Samurott, the more skilled and older it is. So if you encounter it, you know you're dealing with a very old warrior of the water. However, there are some Samurott out there who can't stand having any facial hair, so they keep their faces completely shaved. In Generation 8, Arceus brought us back in time to the Hisui region, and there, we got to see a whole new side of Samurott that we had never seen before, a much darker side in Hisuian form. Because of gaining the dark type, Hisuian Samrott have a vicious nature, and they've grown merciless as they will do anything to win a battle. They'll use tricks, surprise attacks, and of course, cheap shots on their opponent, and they will not stop fighting until their foe lies defeated. They fight on both the land and under the water. Hisuian Samrott are some of the fastest water creatures alive, so getting away from it is completely out of the question, especially for a battle. It's said that an opponent that tried to flee would never live long enough to tell the tale. If you go to the coastlines and you see nothing but a lot of ruin with a lot of slice marks, this is proof you've wandered into a Hisuian Samrott's training ground. You better have your team ready, because this thing will challenge you for a battle, thinking that you are an intruder trying to claim it. It does not take well to outsiders. Hisuian Samrott has a signature move, being Ceaseless Edge, which slashes its shell blade at the target, aiming to land a critical hit. Also, the shell splinters are left behind and they cause a little extra damage to be done at the end of the opponent's turn. It blows my mind that at one point, Samurott was one of the most vicious and heartless Pokemon out there. Compared to what we have now, it's amazing how much has changed. I guess that when Samurott eventually lost its dark typing, it became very pure-hearted, just like its typing of pure water. Samurott made its anime debut in the Pokemon Black and White Rival Destinies episode, The Road to Humalao, where it was under the ownership of Ash's rival, Cameron. Cameron first used his Samurott in his gym match against gym leader Marlon when he sent out his Mantine. It was a rough battle, but in the end, Samurott came out on top. In the Core Series games, Samurott is the ace of your rival Bianca if you choose Snivy at the start of your journey. Samurott can also be the ace of your rival Sharon if you choose Tepig at the start of your journey in Black and White. In Black 2 and White 2, Samurott will be the ace of your rival Hugh's team if you start off with Tepig. If you're a person who likes to battle competitively and stats to you mean everything, well, good news for Unova starters. Samurott, Emboar, and Superior all have the same base stat total with a total of 528 each. What's really crazy the most about Samurott is, even though it has a powerful voice, it cannot learn any sound-based moves. It also cannot learn the move Glare, despite having that incredible glare to scare its enemies. And even though this Pokemon is known to intimidate foes, it does not have the hidden ability Intimidate. Currently, Samurott is the heaviest fully evolved starter Pokemon, as it weighs in at a whopping 208.6 pounds. Since we've been covering Water-type Pokemon for the entire month of Summer Splash, I think we've all come to know the pure Water-type weaknesses. Even still, we're still going to count them up. Being that Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott are all pure Water-type Pokemon, they're weak to moves that are Grass-type and Electric-type. Huh, 2 weaknesses. That's pretty good. But we're far from done. There's another Pokemon on this line that has a set of its own weaknesses, and that of course is Samurott. After all, these Pokemon came from the Unova region, but in the Hisui region, Samurott had itself a Hisuian form. Now, let's see all of Samurott's weaknesses in Hisui. In the old days of the Hisui region, Samurott was not a pure Water-type Pokemon. Instead, it was a Water-Dark-type Pokemon. While this is a cool typing, it unfortunately had a lot of weaknesses. So, let's count up everything that Hisuian Samrott should avoid. It's weak to attacks that are Electric type, Fairy type, Bug type, Fighting type, and Grass type. Wow. Samurott gained a lot of weaknesses when it gained the Dark typing. It went from 2 to 5. That's crazy. Well, we've seen all the weaknesses. Now, let's look at all of their strengths. Being that Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott are all pure Water-type Pokemon, they have a few strengths that can really help them in battle. So, when you go to battle, they have pure Water-type moves that are super effective on Pokemon that are Rock-type, Ground-type, and Fire-type. 3 strengths is pretty good, but Samurott is a very special Pokemon today because this Pokemon gets 2 sets of strengths. After all, we were talking about Unovian Samurott. Now it's time we talk all about Hisuian Samrott's strengths. In the Hisui region, as well as the Paldea region, with Hisuian Samrott being a Water-Dark type, it gains a lot of strengths. So, Hisuian Samrott has Water and Dark type moves that are super effective on Pokemon that are Rock type, Ghost type, Fire type, Ground type, and Psychic type. But, being that Samurott is a Dark-type Pokemon, Psychic also doubles as an immunity, so Psychic moves won't do any damage towards Hisuian Samurott. I guess you could say its darkness blots out the Psychic. For abilities, being that Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott are all Water-type starters, they each share the same ability, being Torrent. Torrent powers up Water-type moves whenever Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott are in trouble with only 1/3 HP. For those of you who like to battle competitively with hidden abilities that were introduced in Generation 5, which was also the debut region for Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott, they each share the same hidden ability, being Shell Armor. Shell Armor protects Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott from taking any critical hits. And in Generation 9, if you happen to trade Hisuian Samrott over to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, it'll also have the same ability, Torrent. However, it has a new hidden ability, being Sharpness. Sharpness powers up slicing moves. As a kid, did you ever play the game Ninjas and Samurais? Well, I know I did a couple of times with my friends, and every time we played it, I would always choose the path of the samurai. I just found the armor that they wear was so cool. So, it made me very happy when Oshawott, Dewott, and Samurott turned out to be the very first Pokemon Samurai line. I have to say, it does make me rather sad that we really haven't had many other ones other than Decidueye. Well, I hope that we get more in the future, and I hope if we get another Pokemon Legends game, we get to meet a trainer who is a samurai. Well, I'm really glad that Samurott gained a dual typing in Pokemon Legends Arceus, becoming a Water Dark type Pokemon. It does beg the question to me, how did this line never become a Water Fighting type? I mean, I think Dewott would have been perfect to be a Water Fighting type, and Samurott would have fit perfectly because of the incredible battle styles they have. I wish that instead of Emboar and Pignite being firefighting, instead they stayed pure fire, and this was the line that became the fighting type. After all, I think a water fighting type would have been perfect for the samurai motif. Even though plenty of Pokemon can learn the move Razor Shell, I always felt that it's the true signature move of this line. After all, they're the first ones that ever could learn the move. I really do like how their shells evolve with them. With Oshawott, it's a single one. With Dewott, it becomes two. And finally, with Samurott, it becomes two swords. However, I always feel that Samurott deserved a signature move. I do know that this was Generation 5, a generation before Gen 6, where they decided that all starter Pokemon should learn a signature move. What move that should be, I really don't know. But I'm glad that in Generation 8 with Pokemon Legends Arceus, it did learn the move Ceaseless Edge, which I think fit it very well. Looking back at the Black and White anime, I really wish Ash's Oshawott had evolved into Samurott, or at least Dewott. He had never evolved any of his Water-type Pokemon into anything, so I think that this would have been a great one to break the trend. Don't get me wrong, I did find Oshawott really cute, but after some time, I really think that that was a Pokemon that really begged for an evolution. They kind of teased me a little bit with the movie, but hey, I still do like Oshawott nonetheless. I'm happy to say that when I played in the Unova region in both Black and White 2, Oshawott was my starter. I had a great journey with Oshawott. It got even better when I had a Dewott, and of course, I thought it was incredible to take the route of the Samurai with Samurott. Aw man, these are some of the best Water-type Pokemon that the Unova region had. Of course, there's plenty out there that we could also look at, but if you ask me and you're thinking of what's a good way to go, well, I'll tell you, the way to go is with the Warriors of the Water. Welcome back, students. I hope that a lot of you are now warriors and samurais. Did you enjoy learning from these great teachers? Well, I have a few questions for you. Do you think that Samurott was great when it was a pure Water-type Pokemon in the Unova region, or do you prefer it better in the Hisui region and its Hisuian form as a Water-dark type Pokemon? Have you ever gone the way of the water for the start of your journey? If so, who was the very first Water-type Pokemon starter you ever picked? Going with the Samurai theme, do you think that a Water fighting type would have been good, or do you think that pure Water type is perfectly fine? And do you think that Water fighting was worth the wait for Generation 9 with Quaxly's line? If it was up to you, would you take the route of the Ninja or the path of the Samurai? Out of all fully evolved Water-type starters we've ever had, who's your favorite? Well, trainers, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions, you want to answer any of the questions I just threw out at you, you want me to talk about the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, you want me to talk about something Pokemon related, or you want to make a request for a video, please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. Oshawott, I hope that you enjoyed this video to the fullest. And thank you so much, Michael. You really have given me more motivation to work even harder. Thanks for watching, trainers. Palm out!